Welcome to this week's podcast. I'm Farmer Ferris, and we've got Sam Cabal with me. Welcome, Sam.
Hi, Steve.
So, we have a big event happening next weekend. What's
do.
happening next weekend?
So next weekend is the first event for the Hoptails Cargo Bar, which is obviously the shipping container bar, 32-foot shipping container that me and my brother started work on in lockdown 2020.
So why did you start? Why did you decide I want a cargo bar?
A number of things, I think, really. The idea was in our heads for a number of years, but just never really had the time to do it. Lockdown was a perfect opportunity because we were literally locked down. The jobs that me and my brother do come to an end for a long period of time, several months, which is unfortunate because we've run out of work. So we decided now was the perfect opportunity. So went on eBay, found a container got delivered. Then we just started organically doing it bit by bit, really.
But you said the idea had been with you for a while, and lockdown was the opportunity to actually capitalise and do it because you had the time. So what was driving you to have that container bar?
Well, as you know, obviously 6PD, which is our main source of work, specialises in craft brewing systems. So I've been a massive fan of craft beer now for 8-9 years. Because of that, as you know, once you start on that sort of stuff, it's quite an acquired taste, and you don't want to drink anything else.
And by acquired taste, it's actually taste of something and not soapy, warm piss, which is what you normally get when you go out and about in the summer, you go to a festival or something.
Yeah.
So that's the driving factor, which is you want something decent to drink.
Yep.
So why is it called Hoptails?
Hoptails, so another good reason why, another good reason why we wanted to create the bar was not just for craft beer, was for cocktails. So when you're going out, there's very few places you'd be able to find decent craft beer and decent cocktails. There's normally places you can go, specific craft beer bars, that's fine. And then you go to specific cocktail bars, again, that's fine. Why not combine the two?
Isn't it going to take too long though? I've got my experience with cocktails is it's a fucking faff and a hassle and you're waiting for 20 minutes.
Again, if you're in a cocktail bar, yes, everyone likes their own proper handshaken cocktail. But with the things that are available out there now, you can actually buy cocktails in kegs. And then we
So
just
actually on tap?
zhuzh them up a bit. Yeah.
And you zhuzh them up.
Zhuzh them up. Well, you've seen them.
Yeah, I know. You put fruit and shit with it. Yep.
And
one for the ladies.
And what do they look like? They look like proper cocktails.
They do look like proper cocktails.
And they taste just as good.
It was stunningly exciting just to see the espresso martini coming out the tap into the glass. And then you neck it and you repeat. It's great.
And you replace.
If anyone's seen some of the Farmer Ferris TikTok videos, you'll have seen the bar in the background. And what's currently happening at the bar today?
It's been shot blasted, and then it's getting resprayed. So I think Alex was a massive, what's the word?
Fan
of getting it resprayed, yeah. Connoisseur of it getting resprayed.
It was a container colour, wasn't it? You
now,
could have been on the docks in Southampton.
Yeah, now I've seen the colour, it's definitely the right choice. Because it is much better. Well, it's almost like that sort of colour, actually.
It pops.
Yeah.
It's good. So it's going to be taken up to London.
Correct.
It's first event, which isn't one of our piss-ups. We're actually trying to make some money out of this.
Yeah.
So what's the event?
So the event is the Saviour, I think you pronounce it, which is a food festival in Chelsea, in the Royal Chelsea Hospital Gardens, which is actually a pensioners' home, believe it or not. The thing is, Royal Chelsea Hospital is not actually a hospital. It's in the grounds of a pensioners' residential home. They've sold 10,500 tickets, expected to sell between 15 and 16,000 tickets. Last year went really well for them. It's a 3-day event. There's over 120 food vendors there. That we are the only bar, or Hoptails is the only bar selling beer, lager and cider. There is a small outlet in one of the food outlets that are selling Budvar.
Okay.
But in terms of proper craft beer, craft lagers and ciders, we're the only ones.
So I think that serves as a perfect example. You've got 10, 15,000 people coming in the summer, assuming it is the summer, British weather and all that, but coming to a big event in London. And until we turned up, there was Budvar. They were trying to get in with one of the big boys, but that fell apart. And then one of the big boys would have been serving warm, frothy piss, which again, we wouldn't have been drinking.
No.
So you've got this massive food event, and there's no drink, basically.
Well, you look at the variety of food at these food festivals, there's everything. I mean, if you've got 120 food vendors, it's really highly unlikely that one of them are going to be serving exactly the same food as the other. So why not have the same opportunity for people that want to drink beer as well? We've got up to 14 different taps on Hoptails Bar. So we can have up to 14 different beers, lagers, ciders, and on at any one time.
One of the things that you are really passionate about is not just the style of the beer, the beer's got to be cold.
Correct.
So what have you been doing to make sure that's the case?
So in the container bar, or the cargo bar as we're calling it, it's a 32-foot shipping container. It's 12 foot of it is actually like a cellar, cold room. So that has got a chiller unit on the outside, so that's temperature controlled down to 4 degrees. Then we've got 2 remote coolers in there as well. So even though the kegs are getting chilled down to 4 degrees, the beer coolers can just take it down that next bit more. So between 0 and 2 degrees. And
you put a kind of extended coils into them?
Correct. So they come with 3.8 metre coils. And when you're at events, if you're just pouring so quickly, which we've experienced when we've done Ferris Fest 1.0, if you're pouring success or again and again and again, you do notice a difference. But with those 10 metre coils in the remote chillers, it just seems to maintain that chill for a much longer period of time.
Okay, right, that makes sense. So, first I saw the container bar was at Ferris Fest, and Alex said to me, well, when are we buying the bar? And I thought, well, fucking buying the bar. Well, it turned out we've gone into business. So the brewery, remember Farmer Ferris ultimately is all about the farm, but also the farm owns the brewery, Apex Brewery, and Apex Brewery is part owner of Hoptails, because we're looking for good outlets. The Mitre, where we're sitting today, is at one of our outlets. Hoptails will be another outlet, craft beer, but coming from the farm into the farm bar or Hoptails.
Yeah.
So we've got one event. What's your experience of trying to get into some of the other events in the summer? Because I know you've been working really hard to try and build up a bit of business and demand.
Yeah, mainly been searching for them on Instagram because it's a good way of finding these events. From past experience, only being a matter of days or weeks, obviously we've got into one food festival. Another food festival has actually got back to me, which I think could be a good one for us because they run numerous events all around the country and they just specialise in food festivals. So I think because whenever you see a food festival advertised, they're so concentrated on the food, they've probably not really thought about the beer. Probably the same with what Saviour have done. So they seem to be a lot more engaging. Whereas the bigger festivals, you've got your Heinekens, your Strongbows and your Carlsberg or Marsden, Carlsberg, whatever they're bloody called. They'll just come in and go, right, we'll give you 50 grand. We want exclusivity across the festival. And you're just drinking cooking fat for the whole entire time. And it tastes like shit.
So when I go to these things, I was at Bath and West. There wasn't a single place I could find that had decent beer. There was no beer there I would drink.
No. And that's a prime example of somewhere where I think we should try and get into. One, it's only local for us. And two, there's so many people there. Let them have some choice. Why not? Why have you just got to only let them have, say, 4 different types of beers or fizzy piss? Yeah.
It drives me. It boils my, use the word again, piss. It really does, because you've got these small craft breweries that many of whom, as you're experiencing, are struggling to survive with energy costs going up, input costs going up.
Yep.
So these breweries are going out of business.
Yeah.
You've got lots of second-hand equipment on the market, which is hurting your business because you build new shit.
Yeah.
And a lot of the stuff is being snapped up by the big boys and then just extinguished.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't these kind of these festivals that are really talking about being all independent and local and food miles and all that sort of shit.
Yeah.
And yet the beer is coming from massive vats full of fucking fairy liquid.
Yeah, basically.
You need to think of it end to end, not just the food, but also and the actual festival, but actually, the beer and everything else that comes with it.
I mean, I think obviously it'd be good if or when Hoptails makes its way around the country, we won't just have beers, lagers and ciders from the southwest. If we're up country somewhere, we'll obviously find some decent beers from local breweries up there because, again, even though they're local breweries to that area, the people going to these events probably still wouldn't have heard of them. But also probably having a bit of something from the southwest as well, so you're spreading everything everywhere around the country. And that one that I messaged you last night was, I mean, they had events in Glasgow, Edinburgh, Norwich.
You want it to be
Oxford.
It needs to be properly locked down if we go to Glasgow.
Yeah.
Yeah, lovely place. No offence, Paul, if you're listening. So, I think from my perspective, we've got the beer. The cocktails, we can turn those around because they're in kegs and zhuzh them up, as you say, really quickly.
Yeah.
The reason why we're not doing cocktails at Sarpoir is because
they've already got an agreement with, I guess, a cocktail bar that's obviously just specialising in cocktails, so they probably don't want us to blow the smoke away from them.
Understand, because we would blow the smoke away quite quickly. So, from my perspective, the reason why Alex and I decided the brewery would invest in this is because whenever you look at a business and you look at, obviously we want to make money out of this, but also actually you won't make money if you're just thinking about making money. You make money because actually what you're focusing on is serving a purpose.
Yeah.
And serving that purpose is, I cannot be, and you and I cannot be the only people who turn up at one of these events, like the Gillian Shaftesbury show, look around some of the beer stands and go, well, this is all shit. Jesus. So, great example was the Steam Fair last year.
Yeah.
Go in the beer tent, there wasn't a single beer I would drink. Mm-hmm. None of the beer is chilled.
Yeah.
So it's a hot day.
Yeah.
They're chilling with towels, and they're putting the casks, they're spraying water on them.
Yeah.
It's going to do fuck all.
Yeah.
So it's a hot day. What I want is a nice cold drink of beer, and I can't get it. So what was I doing? I was drinking gin and tonics, because that's fine. They put ice in the gin and tonic. So it resonated with Alex and myself. The number of times I've been to these places, and you can't get a drink that you actually want to drink. If you're happy with Carling, then you've definitely got something wrong with you, or you're going to drink wife beater. You're going to drink wife beater or something like that. No, this isn't the 1990s. Things have moved on. Beer's moved on. This video is being sponsored by Beavertown. Thank you very much. Not. So it resonated with me, and obviously it's sitting in your and Scott's mind as well. So I think the main thing then is to get it out there, get it in front of people, because it gives them a choice that they don't have. I don't know anybody else who's actually doing this. Even the Harbour Festival in Bristol, you go around that, and Bristol is renowned for its craft breweries, and even that is really poorly served by the people, the beer facilities. There's loads of food, beer is poor.
Yeah, and obviously my business partner JT, who you know obviously quite well as well, he runs his own brewery, which is obviously Drop Project. Fantastic brewery, got fantastic equipment in London.
Oh, I wonder where he got his equipment from.
Yeah, 6PD. Yeah, fantastic equipment, fantastic brewery in London. Obviously doing well, but could be doing much, much better if he could branch out. And like I said, if we've got his beers on the bar and we're doing an event here in the southwest, it's probably going to open people's eyes. And if they like it, they'll remember it and they'll be on their phone researching it. Where can I get this from? It's just about growing and growing and growing. Because again, you couldn't find this in the West Country 18 months ago. Now it's everywhere.
Yeah. It's even on at the Mitre. No, you're right. The spread of Beavertown throughout the West Country has been quite phenomenal. Most of the pubs, apart from the Digby Tap, now have it on Sherborne. But a lot of these brewers, they can, like JT cans. And when I was doing the menus for the bar, you're finding these kind of like Beer 52 and other online beer selling sites. But if you've not come across the brewery, you're typically going to go back to what you've had before.
What you know, yeah.
Rather than, right, I'm going to spend, 50, 60 quid on a box of beers which are completely unknown to me. Now, some people are into that. Beer 52, you can tell them your styles and things like that,
Yeah.
and they'll match it to you. But you're still taking the ultimate risk that you're going to get something that you don't like.
Yeah.
A lot of people wouldn't do that. So actually give them the opportunity to find out more about the beers.
Yeah.
And they go, I like that. JT's, the Drop Project. What was it called? There's the session.
Shifty.
Shifty.
Yeah.
So I really like that Shifty. Go on the website, bang, I'll order a case of that.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't have done that if we didn't give them the opportunity to put it in front of them.
Yeah.
The other thing is, we put big TVs up in the bar because not all beer's the same.
Mm-hmm.
Tasting notes really important.
Yeah.
What's it going to taste like? So you'll get that in a beer festival, but I've never seen it outside of a beer festival.
Correct.
They might categorise it as a session, like Neck Oil says session IPA,
Yeah.
and people know what a session beer is or an IPA is. But in terms of a session IPA can be very, very different. And you had, what was that one we had on the bar recently? Don't have to name the brewery because I wasn't a big fan, but that one I didn't like.
Yeah, that was a citrus IPA.
It was a citrus IPA, and what did I say I prefer to do?
Quaff my own piss.
I thought I meant quaff your piss.
Well, yeah,
Quaff your piss from the spout. It was rank. Again, there was a place in Sherborne that was serving craft beer. Won't say what they're called. They're not there anymore.
There's a reason for that.
There is a reason for that. I went in there once. They had about 16 different beers on, and I couldn't stomach any of them. One of them was fluorescent green.
Well, funny enough, you should mention that place. So I can remember going there again. Me having more, or having travelled the country more and get to experience different beers, because you go and do some work at a brewery. When the lads leave on a Friday afternoon, lads, case of beers, chuck them in the van, off you go. So you come back and then you're trying them with your mates and bits and pieces, and then slowly but surely my mates are getting into craft beer, so I can actually start socialising again because we're not sat somewhere drinking fucking warm piss from a pint glass. We're actually going out and trying to find places that have got decent craft beer. So when that place in Sherborne that you mentioned opened up, I was like, great, fantastic. And at the start, bearing in mind I think it was because it was in the winter months, it was actually all right. I can remember to this day now, a few of my mates were not against craft beer, but they weren't really open to it, but they got into it and they're sat there, they're drinking, they're like, oh, this is nice. Let's go and get one. I was like, fucking hell, lads, this is disgusting. It was warm, and I'm just thinking, I don't like that. That is horrible. But if you get the wrong people at the wrong time trying that, it's just going to put them off.
Yeah.
And they ain't going to want to try it again. They just have this embargo against craft beer. They're like, oh, it's fucking shit because of my first experience. So again, that comes down to why we've concentrated so much in the bar at Hoptails to make sure we've got the cellar and the remote coolers, because all craft beer needs to be kept chilled. And if you look at the cans of most craft beer, hops do fade. You do need to keep it temperature controlled.
Yeah, really important. Quality control, temperature control, because it's that first sip out that glass.
Correct.
You get that right, they'll be back for more.
Yeah.
If it's not, then they're going to move on and they'll be back quaffing their frothy piss from the big vendors.
I mean, we're only doing 8 taps. Is it Savoir? Saviour?
I don't know. I'm not good with my words.
Souvor.
Savoir?
Savoir.
Yeah, it's Ponzi, so it's probably Savoir.
We're only doing 8 taps out of the 14 because, again, it's the first event for us. We didn't want to overorder too much. Luckily, all the breweries that we're working with are agreeing to do sale or return on unopened kegs, so that's obviously good for us. But prime example, if Apex was up and running, you got a prime example there where we could be showcasing Apex's beers in London. And I think that's what you and Alex want.
That's exactly what we want.
Because people are like, oh, what's this? God, I've never heard of these before. Really like it. Straight on the internet or social media or website. Whatever.
Apex.beer. And that's exactly it. You've got a great opportunity to get the beer in front of a much larger audience than they would have seen had previously. But another thing you said there that kind of sparked something in my head, which is and it's gone because I'm an old man, and my mind is not what it was.
Quaffing piss.
Not so much quaffing piss, which is the whole point of Hoptails, to try and avoid having to do that. You can't.
What was you saying? First place you did it was Ferris Fest.
Yeah.
Where you had a firework blowing your face.
Mm-hmm.
So I just do you have a story about like it? Did it hurt? Like what the fuck?
I didn't really know what the fuck was going on, to be honest with you. Everything was going fine, and then obviously that one just had a short fuse for some random reason. Let off a few fireworks in my time. That's the first one that's ever gone wrong. All right, even rocket went across the floor and one went in the hedge, but that's just bloody natural.
That was good, Steve. That was funny.
It was miles away.
Keep us away from the insurance company.
Rachel, sorry, I apologise.
No, it's one of those things. Yeah, they supply you with PPE and.
Yeah, because you're wearing tons of PPE, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Health and safety. All boxes ticked.
Yeah, all the method statements written. It was fine. So I think the most difficult thing we've had about our first event is everything else is kind of fairly straightforward in terms of, sorting the TVs out, sorting the taps out. We've got a few bits of things you need to finish off.
Yeah.
A new distribution board for the rest of the taps.
Yeah.
All of that is just a bit of work, a bit
Correct.
of money, a bit of time. The bit that we struggled with is how much fucking beer do we buy? Because it's kind of, all right, there's 10,000 tickets sold, there's 15,000.
We did toy so much, to be fair. I look back now because I've saved all the figures we discussed on my iPad.
Yes.
And someone's out there streaming.
Who's streaming?
I think it's Steve.
Steve Rose?
I think it's Steve Rose or Jason.
Fucking Grandad Lion.
Grandad Lion's out there on a chainsaw.
He's like, those bastards aren't inviting me in to do a podcast, so I'm going to fucking ruin theirs.
Oh my God, he's got to have Mr. Rose as a guest.
Oh, we've got to have Mr.
Yeah,
Rose.
Mr. Rose as a
Definitely.
guest. Yes.
That would be great.
Yeah, we love that.
That would be great.
All right, so
Quantities of volume of beer.
your quantity is volume of beer. So I love the fact that you sat down and the actual event had a big breakdown of the type of people who are coming.
Yeah.
And the thing that worried me was I'm a country bumpkin and I like my beer, whereas I don't really understand these city types.
Put it this way, if we get 2,500 Steve Ferrises turn up, we're
fucked. Yes, we are fucked. I wouldn't even go as far as 2,500. I'd say 100 of me, and we're fucked. Fortunately, to my knowledge, there is only one of me because I think that's all the world can fucking stand. So describe to me your thought processes of working out how much fucking beer we needed to buy.
Well, it started off with a quarter because we thought surely a quarter of anyone going to a food festival are going to want a pint. What else are they going to be fucking drinking? They might have a cocktail with the missus, they might have a coffee or something. Water, I guess, if you're that way inclined. But
If you're vegan.
You're in the middle of London, basically. 8-minute walk from Buckingham Palace, so...
But the other thing that occurred to me is not a single person going to the Savoy is going to drive there.
Correct, there's no parking.
Well, there's no parking. And it's central London.
Yeah.
Everyone's taking public transport.
Yeah.
So if they want to, they can get as mashed as they like.
Yep,
Marvellous.
they can.
Yes, if they want to.
So we started off with a quarter, and then we said if half of that quarter had a second pint, excuse me, and then half of that...
It's almost like
half
like a logarithmic kind of curve going down.
But you're doubling the amount of pints.
As they go down.
Correct.
So
Because the further you go down, the closer you get to try and find your doppelganger.
I wonder where I appear on that line.
Right till you get to the last man standing, basically.
Yeah.
This guy's had 15
But
pints.
I'm never
What's his name?
I am
Farmer Ferris.
never the last man standing. I am normally the first person to go, I'm going to go to bed now because I'm tired.
That's only because you've got about 15 pints in your gullet.
There is that. There is that. Every now and again. Not every day.
And then we obviously played around again, and then we went for an even reduced amount then. We said, let's go for 10% of the 10,500 tickets sold to date.
So that, I think, I'm going to be really, really interested because it runs Friday through Sunday.
Correct.
So obviously you're up there the entire time.
Yep.
Alex and myself are going to come up on Saturday.
Yep.
And I'm going to be really, really interested to turn out whether we turn up, and it will be like the Ford Rock event in Santorini. Santorini? Santorini's in the Amalfi Coast. Fuck knows?
Amalfi Coast.
Santorini. Yeah, well done. Thank you, Harry. Santorini, Amalfi Coast. So I don't want this to happen. So we turned up, Ford Rock took over a fucking hotel in Santorini, Hilton, and we rebranded it Campo de Ford Rock. And to the extent that the fucking door entry cards had Ford Rock logos on. In the lifts, it was all Ford Rock logos. You wouldn't know it was a Hilton. And we had the founders bar, and every night a different founder was on the bar. So I was on the opening night, and I'm just pouring, and it was just Peroni or something. That's what they had. And they had, there was 350 of us. They had got like 350 people. They're here for 5 days. How much beer are they going to drink? And they got that amount of beer in. We had drunk that amount of beer. Bear in mind, people were still arriving. We had drunk that amount of beer before the end of the first night. The cellar was empty. I remember about 2 hours in, and my fucking hand, I was really damaging my sex life. It's just fucking pouring beer, pouring beer, pouring beer, pouring beer. And this little Italian guy in a suit came running around into the bar, and he was quite agitated. And he's speaking Italian. I haven't got a fucking word of Italian. And one of the bar staff came across to me, and he said, do you know who's in charge? And I went, I am. And he went, okay. This is the manager. Manager's very worried. He said, you're animals and you're drinking all the beer. And I said, no, we're good for it. It's fine. He said, okay. And there was a bit of back and forth. And the Amalfi Coast in January, most of the places are shut down. So he went round every single fucking bar in the town and basically decimated their cellars. And we drank that town dry. And I don't think we got the video. It was sad we didn't get the video of this. It was, at one point, we had a parade through the centre of town. It was just so fucking surreal. All of Ford Rock walking through this small town on the Amalfi Coast with banners, and there was a fucking marching band at the front of it. It was just surreal. Things that we used to get up to back in the day. But that's what I want to avoid, which is end of Friday, and you're on the phone to me going, Ferris, we're fucked. Now, Sunday afternoon, no problem at all. Some of the taps are running dry. Yeah. So it'll be a really good educational event to see what type of people are coming through the door.
I was hoping you were going to tell the full story of that, because there's two scenarios there that I wouldn't want to happen at this event.
Oh, is that the £40,000 cleaning bill for the pool?
Well, yeah, albeit we'd be jumping into the fucking Thames.
Yeah.
Instead of a swimming pool, because they haven't got a swimming pool on site, fortunately enough.
What was the 40 grand? Tell that story.
Okay. So we had a white party. The final party was the white party.
Did you have a tech company or just a party?
Events business. Sounds like you're more up to speed with things than we are.
It was an event. It was a party company associated with tech at times through its history. Now it's very much more a tech company that has the odd drink. So we had the final party was white. Everyone had to dress in white. And they didn't tell us why. So we're all dressed in white. And there is a separate thing where we ended up, one of the senior leadership team didn't have a white event. He hadn't brought anything white with, bollocks. And the people who were running it, called Vision, Dan the man. Dan, just brilliant. You have wristbands.
That's a story for another day.
That's a story for another day. But anyway, Dan, so went to Dan and said, we need something white. Who wears white? The Pope. Let's have a Pope outfit. So you're in January, you're in Sorrento, and you need a Pope outfit. Dan, 24 hours later, turns up, Pope outfit. So fucking brilliant. He found a seamstress in the village. She made a Pope outfit, and evidently he was so bloody brilliant, he went, I'm not wearing that. That's kind of blasphemous. So one of the other management team wore it, and it was bloody good, I must admit. Anyway, the reason why we're all in white is because the hotel was built into a hill. And there was an underground bar, and in there was a swimming pool. And when they came downstairs, they had all blue lights and everything else, and they were spraying us with fluorescent paint. Kind of that powdery stuff you get like Commie Fit and stuff, like Whittock had in his ears all week. So they sprayed us, and then there was this kind of red chained rope around the swimming pool, and it said the swimming pool is off limits. And there was, back in the day, there was a thing which is the executive team would always get in the pool. Last night, they were always fully clothed in the pool, pissed about. Got to be done. And
we're getting to the good bit now.
This time, we're covered in fluorescent paint. And the likelihood that we are going to agree with a sign that says keep out of the pool, no. Where did the signs go in the rope? They went in the pool, so did we. We're in the pool, and within I would say 2 or 3 minutes, it looked like it was just the colour of somebody with an unhealthy urinary tract infection. It was rank. But we stayed, the staff were trying to get us out, we were getting back in again. Anyway, the damage was done. We carried on drinking, all was well with the world. Then they came to drain the pool to clean it, and it took them 3 times to clean it, and they had to get industrial people in to clean it, and they sent us a bill of $40,000. Yes. So it was not our idea to cover us in paint, so it's not our fault.
There's your story, Will.
That's pretty cool.
Oh, Jesus.
You got any good story, Sam? Aiming to that level of the story before we go.
No, definitely not. Ask me after we've done the Savoy Festival.
What are you planning on?
Well, no, I'm just saying there's bound to be stuff that happens there, whether it be funny or not. We'll have a story. I think Ferris Fest is a great story in itself, as most people have seen from the videos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who knows what 2.0's got in for store next year?
Sadly, not Sam Fender. As you came back to me and said he was 300 grand an hour.
And the rest.
And the rest.
500.
500 grand an hour. It's going up on a weekly basis. If I want Sam Fender for Ferris Fest 2.0.
For 1 hour.
Who's Sam Fender?
No.
You know Sam Fester?
Sam Fender? You don't know who Sam Fender is?
No,
Come on.
Jesus Christ, are you living under a rock?
probably. Okay, so
Seven,
it's an
17
answer.
going under is this song.
He's a
isn't it?
musician.
Okay.
He's a musician. Jesus Christ. The youth of today, I don't know. Well, at least Harry's heard of him.
Harry knows.
Yeah, so he's half a million quid an
Very
hour.
well known.
£500,000 an hour.
Because it's not just him, it's obviously him and his production team.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Don't play anymore.
Don't play anymore because otherwise we'll get bollocks by the online platforms.
That's nuts, that is.
Yeah. Okay, I know his songs, I just don't know the name.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
So it's 25 to 12.
We thought we'd do. Have you got a good one?
Well, I mean,
We
they're
thought we
all
might read
they're
some-
all outrageous.
We
so
thought we
I
might
don't
read
think-
some uni confessions. So sometimes in podcasts, people.
I don't know if we
How would
should.
you describe this? A uni confession is, a confession posted to a forum, but it's anonymous.
Mhm.
And basically,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
read it, and they're horrible confessions, and you two discuss.
I can't
Just
remember
discuss.
what we
Okay.
discussed.
Because they usually end with a question.
the only thing that I can remember we used to do, I never went to uni, but I had a friend that was in uni in Plymouth, is we would ring Domino's, order the most monstrous fucking pizza order to next door, and we'd be all out the window looking at this fucking bloke taking all these pizzas to next door. They're going, I haven't ordered that. They was like, well, you fucking have, pay up. This is obviously before the time when you had to pay before
Have you ever
delivery.
put Domino's
Did you
on
get
the
it?
same call?
Pardon?
You
I've
called
tried.
up Domino's and put them next to each other.
Oh no,
Yeah,
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 I've seen
try
that
it.
as well.
Chat with each other.
Did you buy it? Did you eat the pizza? Did you buy the pizza?
He
Oh.
did, no, because he sold it next door.
Yes, we ordered it to next door, but then it's not like so you just let them.
It's down to them to sort it out.
Yeah.
That
Well,
was
you do get fined out if you come around later and go, can I have my pizza, please?
that was 12 years ago, mind. You do anything back then when you're young, you just don't think about it.
But
Trust me, until you've had a kid, that's when you do start growing up. You have to. You do look at things differently as well. Not straight away, but
Yeah.
you just think, nah, I'll hang my hat on that one.
I would heartily agree. There was a period of
So
time.
you don't give a fuck, you care a lot, and then you don't give a fuck again.
Well, I think you always, to some extent, give. You don't want your child to be in tears.
No.
Oh, Daddy's fallen asleep in his own vomit again. You try and avoid that, but at the same time, when
Shat, pissed and puked in the bed,
yes,
all at the same time.
that was either a very good night or a very bad one if you've gone that far. But you ultimately, when the kids are young, you want to spend time with the kids.
Yeah.
And as the kid kind of gets to a point where she isn't a kid anymore, she's got her own life to lead, and then you kind of get back to leading yours.
Yeah.
But I'm certainly, there's no way I can keep up with my younger self. Jesus.
Can't keep up with me.
I've got no regrets.
No,
but
you can drink a pint faster than me, and I shouldn't have been trying it with Guinness, but I
did
could
it
still,
with Rattler. That's not easier.
having never drunk a pint of Rattler, I don't know.
Well, it's fizzy. It's it's like and it like burns.
Well, why are you drinking it then?
Oh no, when you're necking it.
Oh, well, necking when it burns. All right, fair enough. Are we going to do this uni confession thing then?
Yeah, we're just trying to find a good one.
All of them are slightly outrageous.
Which is fine. We just want one that's gonna like. Go on, have you got one?
I'm finding some.
You must have some good stories from the mitre. Like, what's the story from the mitre?
There was a time I was sat in that chair there. I think it was New Year's Eve, and my daughter was, and I was asleep because I was. Jeffrey Bernard is unwell. I was tired and emotional after a long day, and Charlotte was putting crumbs of food in my hair, and Pelham was licking out of my hair, and I woke up the following day, and I was there going, fuck is going on? Why is my hair all thick and claggy? Dog slobber after 12 hours. And I've got bits of food. I don't remember putting food in my hair. There was the time which we had a beer festival, and I was there with a Navy buddy, and we drank all the beer. And then we thought, fuck it, we'll drink all the cider. We went through all the ciders, and we went back on the beer. And that was the last time I chunted. That was quite a healthy exercise.
I think one of my worst experiences.
What, in the mitre?
No, in a pub, not in a mitre. I've only really started drinking here since you introduced me to it. But the Camelot in South Cadbury on my 29th birthday. It was pretty chaos. By 10 o'clock, I'd come out of the bar, slipped, smashed my head on the corner of the door. I had to go to A&E. I got 18 stitches up through my head. I woke up at 2:30 in the morning in a wheelchair in Yeovil Hospital, and my mum picking me up. Couldn't remember nothing from that point onwards.
How old was your daughter at that time?
What's this, 2 years ago? Yeah.
Yeah, so you haven't calmed down that much.
I was about to say, after you said about growing up and like when you have a kid, like.
Well,
before the kid, he'd have had his head off.
Yeah. No, it's just like, obviously that was just really unfortunate. That wasn't me purposely going out.
Drunken accident.
I'm saying before you've had a kid, you don't really think of the consequences. You just go for it. Whereas now, you think, that's probably not a good idea. I'm not going to do that.
I've actually been in this pub and been in a position not many people have, which is to see into the future. So, behind the bar, and I like my hot sauce.
Yeah.
So when I go in the Skippers, Rachel always does me psycho wings, puts psycho juice on it. It's fucking epic. Had some last night. So round the back of the bar, there's a Mad Dog 363, and my Navy buddy was here as well, and he likes hot sauce, and it comes with a bullet. So on the cap, there's a bullet, and you unscrew the bullet, and there's a little tiny spoon in the bullet, and that should tip you off that this stuff is fucking hot. So Dave puts some on his tongue and carries on chatting, and I'm there chatting to the person behind the bar, and I then put some on my tongue, screw the bullet up, turn around, and Dave was about 30 seconds ahead of me, hence I can see into the future. He is now shut up, and he's gone purple, and he's just there, and he's just going, you could see the look on his face, which is, this has not been a wise decision. And that fucked us up for a good half an hour. I forget there was a barbecue going on at the front. Forget the barbecue. It's just milk, sit down, darkened corner, going, my eyes are going to fucking explode. It was so fucking hot. It was, you grab the hot sauces, and they're either made from chili or they're made from extracts. This was an extract. I mean, it was like fucking munitions grade.
Don't do hot food.
Yeah, Jesus. That was not a sensible plan.
But you look like Japanese flag in the morning.
Yes, indeed. No, I've got too many drunken stories. I'm not going to spoil the podcast with them.
Surely uni confessions are more like just stories that have happened at uni, isn't it?
All right, so let me ask you this.
My mate's got a good, I know one that my mate did was pretty good. I thought it was pretty
tell him,
impressive.
just don't say his name, you know.
No, I won't say his name. He'll know exactly who he is if he's watching this, because there's not very many of us that used to go down to Plymouth. But I'm pretty sure we disappeared somewhere, and he went to a kebab shop, sat on the corner eating his kebab. These two girls come up to him and was like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I'm eating food, obviously. What are you doing after? Nothing. Do you want to come back to mine? Yeah, sure. Went back. Ended up obviously doing the business with one of them. She fucked off to go to work, and her mate come in the morning.
Fair enough. I heard Plymouth is like that. I was going to ask you a question, which is, where's the weirdest place you've ever woken up?
The weirdest place I've ever woken up. Fucking hell. Gotta be careful here. It was a number of years ago. I wouldn't say it's the weirdest place, but I wasn't expecting to wake up there.
Okay.
That was in another pub,
You woke
Miles.
up in a pub.
miles away from here.
Okay.
After a night out, completely fucking bollocks, and just, I was like, oh fuck.
Were you in
Weren't
that
supposed
pub
to be here.
before, or did you somehow get to that pub?
No, we weren't in that pub before.
So you were somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
and then you woke up in a random pub.
Yeah.
Marvellous. That's good.
Upstairs in the pub.
Upstairs in the pub.
In a bed in a pub.
Was it like the landlord's bed? Whose bed was it?
A relation to the landlord then.
Was the relation there or?
Yeah. I'm trying to think now.
I'm just wondering, like, did you wake up with someone screaming with a bat in their hand, like?
No, it wasn't that. It was of course of, who the fuck are you? I need to leave.
Oh God.
What's the weirdest place you've ever woken up, Steve?
It did give me a reason to bring. Weirdest place I've woken up is on a dual carriageway embankment in Exeter.
Sorry, dual carriageway where?
In Exeter. There was a bunch of us. There was like 3 or 4 of us, and obviously we'd been. I think we may have been smoking, and we were walking back to where we were staying, and it was obviously a starry night, and we'd obviously laid down and looked at the stars, as you kind of do if you're in that frame of mind, and then we woke up there, and of course I didn't remember. I don't even remember actually that was in Exeter, so it's kind of like I woke up and it was kind of like, oh, I'm outside. Oh, there's a road. Where the fuck am I? Oh shit, there were people. Oh. And then slowly your brain starts to kind of reassemble kind of what's been on. But that's probably the weirdest place I've woken up.
That is weird.
I think growing up, when we used to go to festivals and that with my mates, I was always the kind of person that maybe not had the good ideas, but would always plant the seed, if you know what I mean. And then everyone was like, yeah, let's fucking do it. So we were at Boomtown one year, and the lad that we were with, we met him a couple of Boomtowns before. And then obviously because we become mates, he said, "Oh, when you're going, can I stay in your tent?" And there was 2 of them actually, and we said, "Yeah, that's fine." So for like 3 consecutive years, we'd only meet at Boomtown. We don't really meet each other out of Boomtown. It would just be at the festival. We'd stay in like a big 8 or 10 man tent or whatever it was we were staying in. And he fucking snored like a trooper, and he's on one of these blow-up beds. So we were just there, and obviously we got back at 4 or 5 in the morning, and we're like fucking knackered. And you expect us just to fall asleep, but I was like, boys, this is fucking doing my head in. So we literally unzipped the fucking tent, dragged him out the fucking tent, where he's like on his inflatable bed, and just left him in the pathway of all the tents. So come like 7, 8 o'clock, these people are walking past him. He must have woke up and thought, what the fuck am I doing out here?
Oh, that's the reason why snoring has its benefits, because I snore like a rusty chainsaw going through a scrapyard, and that's why my wife is always, and the animals and the children and the wife sleep as far away from me as possible. I was sharing this apartment, kind of like 2 floors, with a guy I used to work with, Claude Guimont, who used to be in the Canadian Army, and he fought in Kosovo, and he'd slept in foxholes. And I remember him coming downstairs, and the door was shut, but he was going through the ceiling. He'd coming downstairs, and he was waking me up and going, "Ferris, you're a noisy," in a Canadian accent I can't do, "You're a noisy cunt, shut up!"
That'll do it.
He's been used to like bombs going off.
Yes,
shit like that.
yes. But it's just constant angry noise. My first dog, Peach, when I used to fall asleep on the sofa, she would get up and she would just lick my face to wake me up with a kind of shut up and go to bed. Noisy bastard.
Here's a prime example for you about not thinking about the consequences.
Mm-hmm.
Me and 2 mates went to Nando's one evening, sat there, eating the food, thought, fuck this, let's go somewhere. They were like, what? I was like, let's go somewhere. Where do you want to go? Amsterdam. They were like, what? I was like, Amsterdam, come on, which in one of the mates goes, oh no, I can't, I got work in the morning. The other one's got was a bit like me when I was younger. Likes the idea. A few consequences. See how I can get around it. Rang in sick. So we went to Nando's in Dorchester at 7 o'clock in the afternoon. We're on a plane to Amsterdam the next morning at 6:30, and the mate that couldn't go dropped us to the airport.
So the two of you just went to Amsterdam?
For 3 days.
Which
It was just before Christmas. We flew back on Christmas Eve. Just two of us.
What happened while you were in Amsterdam?
Not what you're expecting to happen. Because I told my dad, he was like, bullshit. I was like, no, none of that happened. He goes, what a fucking waste of time going out there. I was like, no, it wasn't that. It was just a spontaneous trip. And then a few years later, same thing happened. Ended up in Bulgaria. Admittedly, it was a week later, not the next day. But
Do you like a bit of Bulgaria?
speaking to a guy in the pub, just come back from a skiing trip, never skied in my life. He's like, I'll take you skiing. I thought,
That's a strange pickup line.
I like I like the sound of that. The more we went on, I was like, I don't want to wait. I want to go now. I want to do it now. So I was down the bottom end of the bar, fucking looking at flights, looking at hotels. Went back and told him, I was like, right, I've paid for your flight. We're going.
So you flew him to Bulgaria to
Yeah.
take you skiing?
Take me skiing, yeah. And it was right at the end of the season as well, which I think is perfect because there's barely anyone there, and I did learn to ski. Skiing instructor was the ex-Olympic Bulgarian champion, gold medalist.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
I've seen his videos. You
He's
showed me.
fucking
He's
nutter.
mental. He's
62 years
absolutely
old,
out of his
and
mind.
he still goes down those slopes like he's a spring chicken. He's on his skis doing 80, 90 mile an hour. And he just goes straight down. Everyone there's like slaloming down the mountain. And there's a video on YouTube, I'll show you. He literally just goes straight down, top to the bottom of his mountain. So he's 3,500 meters above sea level. And when he finishes up, he's about just over 1,000 meters above sea level at the bottom of the resort. And he does that in about 3 minutes. Took me about 15 to 20 minutes to come down. Takes him 3.
Take me about 2 seconds and then the air ambulance. Never skied, never. I know my limitations and I'm not very good on my pins. Right, boys.
Last time we spoke about Alex being able to go on holiday because obviously you don't want to travel again.
I'm not going to leave the farm. I'm going to go to Mole Valley. That's it. I've not been in Mole Valley.
Alex is going to go on holiday. His holiday is in Mole Valley.
Yep. He's worrying now. I walk in there and they say, hello, Steve. How are you?
Scott had bet with me. He goes, how much are you going to bet me that Ferris opens a Mole Valley franchise in Sanford Orcas by the end of the year?
Then I would never need to leave the farm. Yeah. And my Mole Valley franchise will have things in stock and things will be in sensible orders and places as opposed to where they have it in Mole Valley and Yeovil. Kind of like, right, I want work boots. The work boots aren't with the other boots. No, they're with the plumbing. Obviously, that's where I put them. So, Sam, thanks very much for giving your time today. I think we'll have another one post-festival.
Yeah, that's good.
And the question
to see how well it's gone or how Pete Tong it's gone.
Yeah, exactly. Did it go Pete Tong? If so, why? And what were the clientele like?
I think the only way it can go Pete Tong is by running out of beer on a Friday night. I think we're quite lucky that we did forget to mention that it's from 12 till 9:45, Friday, Saturday. It does say 9:45 on Sunday, but no one's going to hang around till 9:45 on Sunday. I don't reckon.
Nah, it's a school night.
Yeah.
So, I think it's when did we run out of beer, and
why did we run out?
Why did we run out of beer? I'll promise I won't drink too much, and also kind of teething problems with the bar, things like that. What did we learn? Yeah. Learning experiences. But that'll be in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much.